welcome everybody. I hope you are all doing well. Well, I cannot believe what we are actually having to deal with today and tonight. So yes, I've come live. I was tempted to do it, but then I realized I haven't actually seen the video that she put. There was a live stream today, and there was a video. Nice, Harrison. And I am wanting to go through those very quickly. I'm using the free StreamYard at the moment, and apparently I'm getting close to my end of time. So I've got to be very careful about what I now for my streaming. You get 20 hours a month free, and I'm sitting on 14. So hoping I can get to the end of the month. Anyway, so it's I don't know how to describe what we've seen today, other than the case of deja vu. I'm sure we've seen it and heard it all before. So I want to look at the video that she did and she produced. I want to look at her live stream. And I know I told you that. I told you I knew that. Hello, Peter. It is like we've been teleported back in time. And this person that knows the Wilkins is still talking and still, has put on TikToks and proof that they know the family, that they are talking about it. Katie's named more people. I don't know. I think she's using a dartboard. And I'm finding it really interesting that when Miranda said that she was threatened, that she didn't take any notice, and she said, oh, it's Robert doing that, but now she's got it. But why is she the only one out of everybody that worked on the documentary? Why is she the only one that's targeted? She has to be the unluckiest person around. So this was her. She did a video. So she did a video today because she needed to garnish sympathy. So it's had 32,000 views in 9 hours. In the span of 24 hours, my life has flipped upside down, and now I'm facing dozens of false reports filed by someone impersonating me. They are also filing reports to try and have me put in jail. This has been horrible. But what about what she's doing to everybody else? And then there's her thumbnail. They are trying to put me in prison, swatted in the middle of the night. Now, my understanding of swatted is that you actually have, like, full belief. Amber has obviously reached out to Cracker, Jen, as Jen knew in that. Well, yes. So there was a theory put to me today that maybe Amber had messaged and talked about the harassment, and so when they spoke to Katie about it, she's had to get in first because she needs to be the victim. So here we go. Ready? I've sped this up. This is on 1.5, I think. Put this on 1.5, and I'm going to put subtitles on. See if the subtitles can work out what she's saying. All right, here we go.
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Monday, June 17th, 2024. I wanted to be able to deliver content for you.
I know it is a good theory, Peter. I wonder who was responsible for it.
Today that was just normal, everyday, run-of-the-mill content. I wanted to be able to put out a new video, whether it be on Sister Wives, the Duggars, or whatever it is that you like to watch on my channel.
You could have. There was nothing that stopped you from doing this, but you wouldn't have garnished sympathy if you just got on with your normal life. That's what the rest of us do. In fact, that's what you've criticized Miranda doing, going about her business. You've criticized Miranda for going about her business.
I wanted to be able to refocus and have ability over the weekend to wind down, decompress, and enjoy Father's Day with my husband and my son, and have a good day. Unfortunately,
Yes, there is an Instagram live. She's done 2 videos, Mary. So she did this one, which was recorded, and then she did a live, and we're going to have a look at the live as well. I believe that was a train wreck from what I've heard. I haven't watched it. I was at work. Unfortunately, some of us have, leave the house, so we can't sit by our computers all day.
that's not what happened. And I'm coming on my channel to just share what happened to me on early Sunday morning and what I've been experiencing the last couple of days in retaliation to a video that was made last week by Miranda Derrick from the series Dancing for the Devil, the 7.
So it's retaliation. What did she just say? Retaliation.
Share what happened to me on early Sunday morning and what I've been experiencing the last couple of days in retaliation to a video that was made last week by Miranda Derrick from the series Dancing for the Devil, the 7 TikTok cult. By no means am I suggesting that any of this that I'm sharing has anything to do directly with Miranda herself or that Miranda is involved in any aspect of this. But what is being done to me is retaliation of what I would call either from supporters of Robert Shin or Robert Shin himself. I'm still working with law enforcement. I don't know the full scope of what's
What? Oh. Retaliation?
happening, but let me explain what's going on. By now, you should know that on May 29th, a series was released on Netflix called Dancing for the Devil, the 7 TikTok cult. I served as a archival consultant, and I was instrumental in helping to provide archives of records, whether it be videos, legal records, posts, reporting, or whatever they needed from a journalistic standpoint to help them put together the story. Because I was the person that broke the story in March of 2022, my archives were very extensive.
I'm okay. Oh, hello, short order. I fixed that thumbnail too, short order. I'm sorry about that. I'd missed that. I'm gonna put thumbnails up for everything, but this is a situation that's unfolding crazily every 5 minutes. So she broke the story apparently. She broke the story. What story?
Instrumental in helping to provide archives of records, whether it be videos, legal records, posts, reporting, or whatever they needed from a journalistic standpoint to help them put together the story. Because I was the person that broke the story in March of 2022, my archives were very extensive. My list of contacts with sources was also very
So she again has just admitted that she's the one responsible for the narrative that's gone out there. You miss what?
extensive. And while I was not on screen in the series, I was working a lot behind the scenes. In 2022, when the story broke, Robert Shin decided that I was public enemy number 1. Robert Shin is the pastor in the series that has been exposed by various victims, whether 2 women that were part of his church back from the early 2000s.
She's showing the great stuff. This is a great picture. Journalist. You remember that was about 5 times in Tardy's Folly. I break the story. That's right. She broke the story. That's right.
Into one left in 2022 to recent victims that were the dancers, the professional dancers that were featured in the series as well. There was a total of 6 victims, and then there was also 2 separate families that shared their sides of the story. And
6 victims. Alleged victims. Yes, and they shared their side of the story, but we're starting to see through people that know the family that Miranda seemed to be very wise in distancing herself from the family. More and more is coming out about the family and the fact that they seem to be toxic and problematic. And it's quite interesting that everything that KJ has accused her family of doing is what people have said has happened to Miranda. Well, she will say later on she had nothing to do with it. Of course she will.
provided context and information about their experiences of losing someone to a cult. A lot of the series focused on the trauma of either being entrapped and enmeshed in a high control group, the aftermath and trauma of leaving that group, recovering from that, seeking justice for crimes that occurred while you were in the group, but also the other side of losing a family member to a group like this with fears that your family member is in an unsafe environment.
And it's funny because I'll see if I can find the post on the Reddit. The person actually said that Miranda has actually flourished and thrived since the 7M. And if being in 7M has actually made her a better dancer, then is that everything that's wrong? Is there anything wrong with that?
And is potentially being exposed to criminal activity or possibly even becoming criminally liable themselves. Because of the focus and the amount of publicity, I was prepared and expected that there would be some level of harassment coming my way. It is never easy to be a truth teller. I also
a truth teller.
knew, because Robert Shin sued me in April of 2022, that he would be trying to frame the series as some sort of narrative of my narrative of this is Katie Joy's story. This story has absolutely nothing to do with Katie Joy.
She's made it all about herself. Didn't realize this was a comedy.
The story was not my story. The story was the story of the people that were involved. My work helped tell the story in that I had archives. I interviewed people. I knew facts about this case. I knew facts about the cult. I knew facts about the religion. I knew facts about the situation. Prior to the series launching, there was an uptick in harassment that we were seeing on social media where people were trying to spam and create and incite vitriol against me in an effort to try to put into question the validity of the claims and the seriousness of what was entailed in this series.
She didn't like the fact that people were questioning. Everyone hated KJ before Robert Shin. Yes, that's a good point. People were questioning why on earth they were working with her.
We saw a lot of creators on YouTube and on Instagram attempt to paint this as a one-sided narrative that Katie Joy created.
It is a one-sided narrative. It is a one-sided narrative.
And the fact,
if you don't have anything pointing the other side, if there's nothing from the other side, it's one-sided. Come on. We are still questioning that.
Facts of this case are Katie Joy told a story, reported on a story, and the victims are the ones that shared their side of the story. Robert and his side had an opportunity to respond and even participate in the series, but they declined. As a result,
that still doesn't mean there was still information out there that was their side. There was the media release from 7M. There was James and Miranda's statements. I'm sorry, KJ, they were hassling you about Garrison Brown in between all of this, so no one is targeting you over this. Oh, that's right. She's neglected that part of the story.
Naturally, people are outraged with the acts that they feel are happening to the people inside. The level of control of the day-to-day lives that Robert Shin exhibits on the people underneath his control infuriates people. More importantly, there's a wider concern from the public that a man that has been accused by more than 3 women of SA is walking the streets in California with absolutely no repercussions and no safety for other women that are near him.
You need to have proof and evidence beyond a reasonable doubt.
To add that to the seriousness of the story is these influencers that are involved with Robert Shin have relatively higher profiles in the media. They're not A-list celebrities, but they are decently known in the dance industry and they have significant influence on social media. Add that to the fact that they have access to celebrities that have much higher influence than them, and you have a recipe for disaster because they are influencing so many people, and there's a risk to communities of children and teens that are coming into the dance community and a potential for people to be recruited into this group.
What did she just accuse them of?
It doesn't help that there are actual celebrities that are friends with these people that are not speaking out against it, but we would never tell someone they have to speak out against it. We would never tell someone that they needed to discard their friend.
That's right. Now she's blaming celebrities. And she wonders why celebrities don't want anything to do with it.
not support their friend. But I think there's a level of frustration because some of them do have pretty high profile friends that have said nothing. So obviously, with the amount of attention that's on Robert, last week there was a petition started by one of my colleagues, Haley, who runs the Instagram page called Stop Culting.
Haley's now a colleague. Celebrities, you're bringing children into it. Where did they try to recruit children? That's right. Where have they tried to recruit children? Where's the evidence for that? Was that ever shown in the documentary?
Wanted to be able to start a petition that would urge and motivate the Los Angeles Police Department to do a full investigation into Robert Shin and to stop these like limited interactions and these limited investigations and not doing their due diligence and not being bogged down by the fact that, you know, LA is high crime and there's all kinds of cases. They want this to be taken seriously. And the fear for a lot of us moving into the series was that law enforcement to date has not taken any of this seriously. And part of that is because Robert is surrounded by people that enable him, that protect him, and that are also committing crimes with him. So they are unwilling to come forward under their own.
So now he's a crime boss. This guy must be amazing because now he's a crime boss.
Own fears of potential retaliation by Robert, being blackmailed by Robert, or having any criminal liability themselves. The cult he creates and the insular community that he creates also is based on fear. And so it's been very difficult.
She's reading this off a computer. It looks like she's reading the script because I've never seen her speak so articulately.
Speak out because they fear that Robert will go after them, and fears of death, fears of damnation, fears of lawsuits and financial ruin are legitimate fears that these people have. So I feel the last several days I've been going through a series of threats myself, and on Sunday at 4 a.m. police pounded on my door because someone had filed a false report with the FBI claiming that I was a hostage.
How did they know this was not taken seriously? Did they email and say this is a joke?
And my son and I were hostages. And
why just her and her son? What about Toad? Why is Toad never in any of this? Peter says maybe he served with Tardy's dad in the mafia. Well, that's a good point. Why is it just her and her son? Why is her husband not a hostage? Or is he the Is he the person holding them hostage? I just find it really interesting. It's always her and her son. Not ever her husband and her son. It's always about her and her son.
That a man was trying to harm my son. The same person also.
A man was trying to harm his. As I said, where's her husband? Maybe he's the hostage. Well, maybe.
So I feel the last several days I've been going through a series of threats myself, and on Sunday at 4 a.m. police pounded on my door because someone had filed a false report with the FBI claiming that I was
I've got to do something. Just hold on for a moment. The Aussies will know this. Okay, let me go back here. See if I can time it right.
The last several days I've been going through a series of threats myself, and on Sunday at 4 a.m. police pounded on my door because someone had filed a false report with the FBI claiming that I was a hostage, and my son and I were hostages, and that a man was trying to harm my son. The same person also tried to file a report with CPS in another county by using my attorney's name and email address and filing it as though they were my attorney, claiming that I had told them that I was going to harm my son. In the middle of all of that, I started getting threats from a group of creators on Instagram through my email address. They're also on YouTube that have been supporting Robert Shin since 2022 and helping him in their efforts to try to diminish the credibility.
Who can it be knocking at my door? She said this creator went live to post fake emails I received from a fake account and one of her friends made. Then she used this to report me to the police when this email is not my email address from me.
Of the victims in the story taint and disparage and discredit me and harass me into being silent. The threats which I received were horrific. Obviously, I'm not going to go into detail because the police are involved in my county.
Are they the same as the ones that she got when during the Tardy lawsuit?
And I have spoken to the FBI. These are not limited to me. They are threats against my son, my family, myself. But the main source of the threat is that these people are telling me that unless I stop talking about Robert Shin and remove my defamatory content about Robert Shin off of my platforms, they will come and hurt me.
Here we go again. Well, let's not forget that the judge did say that they felt that some of the statements could be deemed defamatory. That was way back in the very first judgment.
Or potentially kill me or my son. The police, although the SWAT team did not come, are treating this as an attempted SWAT because of the way that these people filed the reports.
It was an attempted SWAT. It wasn't a SWAT. Well, she's shown no proof of anything, Mary. It was an attempt. So they're treating it like an attempted SWAT. Well, again, we haven't seen the threats order.
And remove my defamatory content about Robert Shin off of my platforms, they will come and hurt me or potentially kill me or my son. The police, although the SWAT team did not come, are treating this as an attempted SWAT because of the way that these people filed the reports. They were hoping that cops would go bust down my door and that it would lead to some sort of altercation, violence between me and the police.
Surely the FBI and the local police have well, they're supposed to have a record, the fact that there's false claims made at her house all the time. So why? It doesn't make sense. My husband just said he didn't know there was anything known as an attempted SWAT. Well, there you go, Mama Kay. Isn't that interesting?
But the main source of the threat is that these people are telling me that unless I stop talking about Robert Shin and remove my defamatory
She
content.
said the police and then the SWAT didn't come, but it's a SWAT. Yeah, that's right. She's saying my Sunday morning swatting nightmare. But she said they're
and helping him in their efforts to try to diminish the credibility of the victims in the story, taint and disparage and discredit me and harass me into being silent. The threats which I received were horrific. Obviously, I'm not going to go into detail because the police are involved in my county and I have spoken to the FBI. These are not limited to me. They are threats against my son, my family, myself. But the main source of the threat is that these people are telling me that unless I stop talking about Robert Shin and remove my defamatory content about Robert Shin off of my platforms, they will come and hurt me or potentially kill me or my son. The police, although the SWAT team did not come, are treating this as an attempted SWAT because of the way that these people filed the reports. They were hoping that cops would go bust down my door and that it would lead to some sort of altercation.
So it wasn't a SWAT, so it's an exaggeration then. It was just a police officer then. That's right, your order, but she didn't get swatted. She didn't get swatted. So if that's not the full, if she's not telling the truth with that, what else is she not telling the truth about? You got to start. But yet, all her fans, all her cult followers. Oh, poor Katie, poor Katie. Does she? Yeah, we'll do that. We'll have a look. We'll look at that yet.
And violence between me and the police. Unfortunately, right now, we don't know who specifically is doing this. What I do know is that the emails and threats that I am receiving all indicate that these people are doing this because they want me to stop talking about Robert Shin. They believe that if I stop talking about Robert Shin, apparently the story is going to go away. They want
we want you to keep talking about Robert Shin. This is all because Amber raised the doxing of Miranda with her lawyer, and I think KJ's lawyer told her to STFU, and KJ went, let's make this about me. Yeah. This is my opinion, not fact. Well, it's a very good theory, Peter. Very good theory. Oh, no, we want you to keep talking because this is very entertaining. I think because she went crazy, started emailing people last week, then woke up and went, uh-oh.
To take down all my statements and remove everything. They also want to paint this as I am victimizing Robert Shin and I am victimizing the dancers that are still inside. This series of harassment I've been receiving, whether I've had the cops at my home 3 times now in the last 2 days. They were here for over an hour today.
What?
They were here
3 times. Hang on. 3 times in the last 2 days. I'm assuming there'll be footage of that.
harassment I've been receiving, whether I've had the cops at my home 3 times now in the last 2 days. They were here for over an hour today. They were here yesterday in the afternoon or evening, and then they were here at 4 in the morning on Sunday. They have been.
What? So they were there before. So she had a visit before 4 a.m. in the morning. Hence why they already probably knew it was fake at 4 a.m. in the morning. They didn't do the swap.
Filing reports with my city. They're bringing in people from my neighborhood. They have been taking photographs of my house and posting them online. They're doing whatever they can to try to intimidate and scare me to stop talking. In 2022, Robert teamed up with a group of creators on Instagram and on YouTube who were bound and determined to take me down. These same creators are now continuing to help him. And if you check YouTube on the algorithm and you want to watch some hate videos about me, most of those creators have either had direct contact with Robert Shin or through his fake accounts or through his Instagram pages that he once created about me. These creators have been incited and brainwashed to believe that I'm evil and that I am dangerous and that I have victims. Robert's biggest thing that he likes to say about me is that I have victims. I have proof upon proof upon proof of so many receipts of things that Robert Shin, through either him or through his mentors or people at his church, have written about me and shared about me on social media. At one point in time, he had 2 separate Facebook, Instagram pages dedicated to the smear campaign to expose me. Since 2022, he is trying to convince people that I'm a danger to society, that I'm a danger to Miranda, and that my reporting is going to put him and his dancers and himself in danger, and they're going to end up dead because of me. So when Miranda posted a video last week claiming that she was getting death threats, the truth is that it's more than likely these threats were actually coming from people that support Robert Shin. And
I can tell you now, if I'm waiting for my paycheck from Robert Shin, if I'm supposed to be helping him, I don't do anything for free. My rate's pretty expensive because I'm a union member. I charge for that. I'm pretty expensive. I want to see the police come at 4 a.m. on the Sunday morning because her Saturday manic posts seem like a drunkard. Well, correct. That is correct. It'd be very, very interesting. She never says allegedly. Correct, short of the cook.
When that video went live, his biggest motive and his biggest tactic throughout the last 2 years that I've covered him, and I feel like I've learned the way he moves so well, he's predictable, but he often deflects to my life is in danger, Miranda's life is in danger, her parents are causing this, Katie Joy.
Hang on a minute. Talk about deflection. She hasn't been getting attention.
Causing this, somebody else is causing it. It's always somebody else's fault. He's made.
Is she talking about herself there? It's always someone else's fault. It's never her fault.
These threats in the past. Miranda has accused her parents numerous times and me of putting her life in jeopardy. When she put that video up and it was seen more than 4 million times and posted all over the internet and picked up by the wider media, quickly retaliation started on me. And since that video was posted by Miranda, I have been attacked relentlessly through reports, false reports to the police, false reports to the city, false reports to CPS, 3 separate police officers at my house in the last 24 hours or 2 days. And
so 3 separate officers. So they've come on their own. That's not a SWAT. It's not a swatting. And if they came on their own, they obviously weren't expecting any issues. Come on. No, and oh dear.
Reports to CPS in a different county. They have filed reports in my name to the Attorney General. They have filed reports that are false to the FBI. They are emailing people claiming to be me from an email address that is not mine and sending threats to attorneys, to Robert's attorneys, to dancers, to other creators.
All right, tell me how the password reset went to her email account that she's got if it's not hers. That's what I need to know because I can't work that out because normally when you do a password reset, it goes to your email address. She hasn't explained that one.
They are trying whatever they can to make me look like I'm threatening everyone. And they're using Gmail accounts that are not tied to me in any capacity. They have impersonated me through Google accounts. One now has been deleted. And they have been trying to add my tips email, which is my Without a Crystal Ball tips email. It's not a personal account. They've been using that as the recovery email.
Why would she have that? They've been using that as the recovery email. But you just can't change that without. Don't you have to actually be logged in to be able to do that for it though? It's not making any
them.
sense.
Well, I got an email today that they deleted that email account because they set up my email address as the recovery email, which is insane. Anyways, through all of these
Doesn't make any sense.
different threats, I've now had to have the FBI involved, and I have law enforcement in my county as well. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who's responsible, but I know that these people are doing this for Robert Shen. Whether
She knows it. She knows it. If something happened to me, I wouldn't be checking for that. I would be have the police do it. Oh, that's right. I'd be having the police doing it.
he directly incited them or not, whether he told them to do this, really to me doesn't matter. They're doing this because I want to impress him. They want to defend him. They want to attack me. They want to make me part of the story, and they want to deflect. And I'm just here to tell you that if you're one of these creators doing this to me, if you're involved in this kind of activity, you will be prosecuted. We will find out who you are. We will pull IPs. We will pull subpoenas for social media. The police are actively investigating this right now.
Oh, what am I doing? Correct, Hank, Texas. Correct. she mentions FBI 7 times in that video. Correct. One officer would not have appeared for a hostage situation. Correct. So if I'm one of the creators saying bad things about her, apparently I better pack my bags. I've got to go for a
They're doing this because I want to impress him. They want to defend him. They want to attack me. They want to make me part of the story, and they want to deflect. And I'm just here to tell you that if you're one of these creators doing this to me, if you're involved in this kind of activity, you will be prosecuted. We will find out who you are. We will pull IPs. We will pull subpoenas for social media. The police are actively investigating this right now. If you are someone that is using interstate means to make these threats, the FBI will also be involved. If you're a creator involved in this and you think that this is somehow going to move the needle and cause Netflix to take down the series, you are mistaken. Netflix will not take down the series. Netflix does not condone this kind of behavior. They do not support anyone in the series being threatened. I do not support anyone in the series being threatened. I don't support.
But you're the only one getting threatened. Why do you keep bringing Netflix into it? Oh. They want to make her part of the story. She's the instigator of the story. Correct. She was told by Netflix she probably couldn't do any more interviews. That they had to go through. She's got to go through Netflix now. She doesn't want to have to share the limelight. She needs to make sure she's the center of attention. She has to be the person. She has to have the worst luck of anybody else in the world.
Or anyone filing false reports, sending fake emails or threats to anyone, whether it's Miranda, whether it's me, whether it's Wilkins, whether it's anyone in the series. Netflix will not take the series down.
Someone did say that Kelly Wilkins has actually unfollowed Katie Joy on Instagram. So wouldn't this be passed by Netflix back to the production company? Her contract would not be with Netflix. Interesting. Yes, that's right. Would it be the production company, not Netflix? Wouldn't the production company be able to pull it?
Making this about me doesn't change the victim's story, and trying to deflect away from who Robert Shin is and what he's done.
She's the only one that's deflecting.
Doesn't change who Robert Shin is and what he's done. I have been his scapegoat, along with the Wilkins, along with Melanie Wilkins, along with the other victims for years. This is what he does. He scapegoats everyone, and he's never to fault. So while you see creators that are online disparaging the show, questioning people's stories in the series, trying to incite drama between members of the production and subjects in the series,
No one's trying to do that.
create drama that doesn't exist, trying to create division.
I bet, Short Order, you've never seen archive consultants get threatened like this before in your line of work.
That is a tactic by this cult to try to change the narrative so you stop talking about Robert Shin. And no matter what is sent my way, no matter what threats are sent to me, I'm not going to stop talking about this cult. I'm not going to stop talking about this series. I'm not going to stop talking about criminal activity. I'm also not going to be framed for things. I'm not going to be prosecuted for things that I didn't do. I'm not going to have police show up at my house in the middle.
Well, they have. I'm not going to have police show up in the middle of the night. Well, they have.
Of the night thinking I'm going to hurt my child or someone's going to hurt my child. At this time, I have taken down my tips at withoutacrystalball.com email. It has been disabled, not deleted. It is disabled for the time being until the threats calm down, until whoever is doing this can be caught. I will take tips through Instagram, through my DMs, or on Facebook on my Facebook without a crystal ball / Katie Joy. At this time, it is not safe for me to have an open email where anyone can contact me from the public for tips, simply because people are abusing it and using it to threaten my livelihood, threaten my son, threaten my life. I'm not down with that. At the end of the day, none of this, again, changes the facts of who Robert Shin is. None of this changes the story of what was told in that series, and none of this should detract you from the truth.
Okay, so what happens when they do a track and they can't link it to Robert Shin and he's innocent? I'd love to put side by side is when she announced the series and all the things she said. Oh yes, she did say it was her. Well, she said at the start that she was the one. She was the one behind it. But what happens if they find it's not Robert Shin and it's no one to do with Robert Shin? Is she going to apologize and apologize for accusing somebody?
You don't have to like me to see what he's doing. You don't have to care about me to see what Robert Shin is doing. Robert Shin wants you guys to think I'm being narcissistic because I'm talking about this, but I didn't put myself in the middle of this.
You did. You did. I didn't put. She did. She put herself in the middle of it. She did.
Me to see what he's doing. You don't have to care about me to see what Robert Shin is doing. Robert Shin wants you guys to think I'm being narcissistic because I'm talking about this, but I didn't put myself in the middle of this.
You did. You did put yourself in the middle of it.
Robert sued me, and he's trying to blame me for everything, which that lawsuit is going nowhere, by the way. He's also
well, I'm gonna timestamp that because I'm gonna have to grab that.
being narcissistic because I'm talking about this, but I didn't put myself in the middle of this. Robert sued me, and he's trying to blame me for everything, which that lawsuit is going nowhere, by the way. He's also being sued in the state of
We've heard you don't have to like me and you don't have to care about me, and I don't care so many times before.
California. And he's said that those victims are defaming him, which, by the way, multiple of those claims that he's using in his statement to 7M about being defamed were thrown out by the court, and he was ordered to pay over $75,000 in legal fees. Many of their claims, like for sex trafficking, abuse, gender violence, unjust enrichment, infliction of emotional distress, they survived the dismissal period and they are going to trial. They effectively pled their charges and their counts, and he'll have to defend himself against those at trial. Robert Shin should not be allowed to use creators on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter to harass, degrade, threaten, and ruin other people. Instagram
But you shouldn't be able to do it either.
Creators, Facebook creators,
Dandra,
and YouTube creators that are engaged in this have been doing this to me for years, believing that there was never consequences. I have sent so many cease and desists. I have had to take out restraining orders against people, and now it's getting to the point where criminal charges will have to be filed. I can't say what will come from this investigation, but I know that.
Hang on, the restraining orders had nothing to do with the Robert Shin case. Hang on a minute. It had nothing to do with Robert Shin.
Names like for sex trafficking, abuse, gender violence, unjust enrichment, infliction of emotional distress, they survived the dismissal period and they are going to trial. They effectively pled their charges and their counts, and he'll have to defend himself against those at trial. Robert Shin should not be allowed to use creators on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter to harass, degrade, threaten, and ruin other people. Instagram creators, Facebook creators, and YouTube creators that are engaged in this have been doing this to me for years, believing that there was never consequences. I have sent so many cease and desists. I have had to take out restraining orders against people, and now it's getting to the point where criminal charges will have to be filed. I can't say what will come from this investigation, but I know that the people involved are United States citizens, and if they are committing crimes, they will be charged, and we can prove it. I will be back tomorrow with my.
Oh, everyone's a United States citizens. Well, interesting that one of the creators that she's named is not a United States citizen.
regularly scheduled content. Don't ever send hate or harassment to anyone involved in this video. Don't even send it to Robert Shin. Don't ever send threats to anyone. Don't engage in online bullying or harassment of anyone. Don't file false reports in other people's names. Don't commit perjury when you are filing false reports with the FBI. Don't break the law to help cult leaders. And don't try to make the journalist the bad person for telling the story.
But you're not a journalist.
Remember Robert Shin and remember his victims. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye, guys.
All right, that was her video that she did. That's right, Nikki, Lama, and myself, we're not US citizens. Neither is Bill. All right, so let's have a look at this. All right, this says this was posted in 2022 by the cult. Does this sound familiar? Today, one of the 7M members was being followed around as they drove around Burbank and surrounding areas. The person was in fear of his or her life and tried to lose the stalker on many occasions, both on the streets and on the freeway, before finally evading them in a crowded shopping centre. They were driving a black Veloster and a red trim, and we got the license plate. We do not engage them as they could be a psychopath, and we were in fear of our safety and well-being. This is what Katie Joy and her reporting is doing. It's putting innocent lives in danger. Think twice about who you decide to support as you and are an accomplice about this. The cult Instagram made this post about me in 2022. Look at the title, Dancing with the Devil. Is she a cult expert, journalist, humanitarian, or a cult victim advocate? All right. This is our unofficial page. Yes, the voice of this channel is from all of us at 7M. The dancers are free to use their own platform if they wish, but people may not content like this mixed on their page. So we have this channel for specific persons. I don't know who this is. Yeah, did she just give herself away? LOL. Yeah, probably. I think she slipped up. Yeah. This page was created by the cult in 2022. The entire page was dedicated to smearing me. So the cult made that title in 2022. Can they sue the producers for copyright? Maybe. Yes, it was probably before the... Look, I'm a bit slow. I didn't even pick that up. They've been pushing the one-sided narrative since 2022. That tactic hasn't changed. It's funny because she's pushing the one-sided narrative. So there's a list of people. They're directing people to specific creators to watch these defamatory about me. These creators would post supportive videos for Shin or defaming me. Police just came to my house again. Now they are filing false reports to the city in my name and bringing neighbours into the situation, using the neighbours' names when filing false reports, who is a police officer. Good news is the deputy was super nice and promised to help stop this. But what if it was the neighbour? We don't see any of these reports. Short order. Our email address, tips@withoutacrystalball, has been taken offline for the time being to stop the influx of threats we've received in the past 3 days. The email was never been for personal use and was created for tips to be shared for viewers. For now, tips can be submitted by DM on Instagram or Facebook. We do not respond to all messages. See what the creators are doing? This email is not me. They know I didn't send this to them. They're doing this for content to make me look dangerous and to help Robert Shin, and are inciting their followers to report me to police. Please report any videos you see like this. So now she's doing mass reporting. Please report that email address is not my address, and they know exactly who sent these emails because they are friends with her. So Nikki is not the creator that I know of. She's someone that has been trashing me online for years to benefit Robert Shin, another terrible man. I did not email her or anyone else in the anti-KJ world. I know who is sending their threats. They know I didn't send them, but they have content to make and cult leaders to impress. Moreover, why would I ever threaten a woman that I don't know or have a relationship? I didn't. And Nikki, as I said, lives in Canada. So I don't know why that contradicts what she said in that video, because she said they're United States citizens. Nikki's not a United States citizen. She said in the video, well, that's right. But now she's contradicting herself all over the place. Apparently she's going to be on Heather McDonald's Juicy Scoop, apparently. And I know what she said in that video. Then she says Nikki has written this. So she's actually grabbed this from obviously Twitter. This is KJ's email. Someone else says, this email is not me, Katie Joy. I don't do anything outside public comments. Stop lying my name. And then she says, you know, this email is not me. I have no idea who Miss Misty is. I have never heard of her until yesterday when threats were sent in her name to me. You know your friend is behind this. And you are doing this to deflect and defend Robert Shin. All of you should be banned from YouTube for your incitement and in harassment. But she's been inciting and harassing the Derricks. For how long? All right, here we go. So it says the police have energy to come to your house, but don't have the energy to investigate Shekinah Church or 7M. The difference between living in a small town in Minnesota versus LA. I didn't know you were from Minnesota. Me too. Why are you? Someone says, why are you always beefing with someone? And someone says, why are you here then? She's a journalist reporting. And then someone else says, she's a blogger. Journalists have degrees. She said, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who's responsible, but I know these people. That's right. And then so the random archival consultant, not the survivors director or distributor, are in danger. That's what I'm saying. It's random. That they don't know who you're messing with. They've been watching you for years, and you don't seem to back down. Not for trolls, haters, or cults. If anything, it just makes you're doing the right thing. They're trying to silence you. If my child was involved in something like this, I wouldn't stop. Anyway, it's got to be knocked back. Oh yeah, well, true. I don't know. Please document the threats. As I said, you are not the problem. It's already up on YouTube. But she's got a jumper on. Why on earth has she got a big thick jumper on if it's very humid and she's got the fan on? What way? Oh, no way. All right. Well, we'll have to do that as well. I'm just reading the. Are you speaking, Joe? It's gone quiet. Yeah. Oh, I just Peter just sent me the link to Heather's podcast, and I'm just going. She says, then I talked to Katie Paulson, who played an important role in getting behind the Netflix documentary Dancing for the Devil. We discuss occult versus religion. We share how concerned family members should approach a loved one who might be in a cult, what the aftermath have been for families and dancers since the airing of the documentary. That's what I was going for. So I'm sorry. Can you hear that or not? Can you hear? Can you hear the video? Oh, you can't hear her? Okay, all right. All right, I'll stop sharing and I'll see if I can find Llama Girl stuff. Actually, you know what we might do? We might not do that. We might do this one. Okay, all right. That's okay. Thank you. Is it all right? Peter just sent me the juicy scoop. We'll come back. I'll come back to that because I think the Instagram. I think Llama Girl's done it, so we'll do that. But anyway, let's just see what Katie Joy's got to say on this one. That this one. Well, it'll be interesting to see if her other explanation matches this. So let's have a look. Juicy scoop. Oh no, there she is. Gee whiz. Oh no. All right. Ready? Let me know if you can hear this. All right. Juicy scoop.
And other people picking it up, which made this documentary happen. And so let's get into that interview right now. Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I am talking to Katie Paulson, best known for her YouTube channel and her Instagram.
Can you hear that? Yes, she's got more.
Which is how I found you, without a crystal ball. Welcome to Juicy Scoop.
Thanks, Heather. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, listen, you have a very juicy channel and you covered a lot of cults and
Yes.
What was she doing? What
other
was she doing there?
best known for they also believe in God and they joined you would ever
Yeah.
juicy scoop.
Thanks, Heather. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, listen, you have a very juicy channel and you covered a
What was
lot.
she looking at? What's she looking at there?
Lot of cults and
Yes.
you contributed to the documentary Dancing with the Devil. How did they contact you to have your involvement in that, which is on Netflix, which is about these TikTok dancers that we all enjoy watching so much? Some were couples, some all met out in LA. And the documentary is how they are super talented, but they also believe in God. And they joined this
Maybe short order. Yeah, that's true.
church run by this man named
But she got sprung.
pastor named Robert Shin.
Yes.
And after being part of that church for a while, he said, you're so talented. Why don't I form a management company called 7M that will
Yep.
help you guys secure dancing jobs?
Now that's interesting because a friend of Melanie Wilkin had said that they were dancing before they joined the church, which was interesting. So it was the opposite way around.
Brand deals and whatnot. And so he's in charge of the church as well as the management company.
Yes.
And that was a big part of the documentary.
And this friend also said it's the son that runs the management company. So someone's not telling proper stuff here.
Yes.
Based on how much they would end up paying for their gig. So they'd give 20% for the management.
Yep.
But then they're also giving 30% because they broke it down into 3 10s to the church.
10, 10, 10. Yep. 10% tithing, 10%
Yeah.
10% man of God, and then 10% first offering, meaning like the first 10% of your paycheck. So really it's just another 10%.
Which is, I never had that when I went to church. They would just encourage you to give.
I grew up Catholic and they were
Catholic.
like,
It's like you're supposed to
they
give,
would
but it
send
was
you
never.
yeah.
But I know Mormons, it's like a real hard 10% of your income.
Yes, he did run it for 2 years. I believe he was running it for 2 years. So if she just says yes, I will die. Hey, Peter, you're the one that sent me the link.
Yeah.
And things like that.
He comes from like prosperity gospel. He would say he would not be, but it's very prosperity driven. The more with the idea of like the more you give, the more you'll receive. The bigger the gift, the better the blessing.
Right.
Yeah.
So you
It's called the prosperity gospel, actually.
became aware of what was going on and they show this in the documentary.
Yes.
Miranda, who is one of the dancers who ended up marrying this other guy that's part of it. And now they're the Derricks.
Mm-hmm.
Her sister Melanie and her parents went live with a plea of saying we have not talked to, Miranda in a while and we're just going public with it. And
yes,
that was brought to your attention. And then you started to, get their message out through your channel, correct?
Yeah. So I found out about it from one of my followers. Like this family just went live and they're really worried about their daughter. You cover cults. Maybe you could help them. They knew that I have a lot of like mainstream journalists that follow me. And so they felt like if you post on your page, maybe an outlet will pick it up. And that's what happened. So
right. So the Sun wrote about it.
Yep.
Daily Mail.
Managers may face total 40%, not out of the ballpark. You should see what other management groups spend money on. They don't tell.
Wrote about it.
Yep. Because I've established relationships with different journalists, different outlets, and I think that's kind of what you do in this industry. And
she just say that she contacted other media outlets.
Sister Melanie and her parents went live with a plea of saying we have not talked to, Miranda in a while and we're just going public with it. And
yes,
that was brought to your attention. And then you started to, get their message out through your channel, correct?
Yeah. So I found out about it from one of my followers. Like, this family just went live and they're really worried about their daughter. You cover cults. Maybe you could help them. They knew that I have a lot of like mainstream journalists that follow me. And so they felt like if you post on your page, maybe an outlet will pick it up. And that's what happened. So,
Right. So the Sun wrote about it.
Yep.
Daily Mail wrote about
Yep.
it.
Yep. Because I've established relationships with different journalists, different outlets. And I think that's kind of what you do in this industry. And yeah, so I reached out to Kelly and I said, hey, like, I've covered cults for years. And I know that one of the things that you can do is try to get as much, if we push it out and we get enough exposure on this, maybe it'll go bigger. And then it got to sort of a point where even though it got pushed out and even though there was exposure, Robert sort of took the narrative back, right? And he changed things up, which you see in the series. So
what's her next grift? I mean, subject going to be? I don't know. She's running out very quickly.
It was March of 2022. It was February 24th, they went live. It was March 2022, everything goes viral. And near the end of March, I was approached by Tim Milgram, who is a choreographer, or not, a director that has a dance studio, and Isaiah Shin, who's Robert's son, used to work for him. And he quit to go work for his dad, which he thought was weird. He's like, my dad's making me quit to go work for him. And he noticed that all these dancers were leaving with him. And Tim felt almost a sense of responsibility, like, if
hang on
out and we get enough exposure on this, maybe it'll go bigger. And then it got to sort of a point where even though it got pushed out and even though there was exposure, Robert sort of took the narrative back, right? And he changed things up, which you see in the series. So it was March of 2022. It was February 24th, they went live. It was March 2022, everything goes viral. And near the end of March, I was approached by Tim Milgram, who is a choreographer, or not, a director that has a dance studio, and Isaiah Shin, who's Robert's son, used to work for him. And he quit to go work for his dad, which he thought was
interesting. So she's confirming what we know. And he took dancers with him.
was weird. He's like, my dad's making me quit to go work for him. And he noticed that all these dancers were leaving with him. And Tim felt almost a sense of responsibility, like, if I didn't have Isaiah in my studio, maybe he never would have met these people. He almost
Here we go. Now we're getting to the crux of Milgram's interest and why he got involved and why it was a one-sided
felt like it was his
Oh,
fault.
I see what you mean. So he was saying because he had the dancers in his studio and Isaiah was doing filming the videos for him.
Yeah.
That is how possibly they met Isaiah. And then Isaiah was like, hey, you should come and, come to our church. Got
Pretty
it.
much.
Okay. That
And so
makes
for
sense.
Tim, he just felt like, oh my gosh, did I do this? Like, he's a really well-respected director. Everyone loves to go to his studio for dance. He does classes. He's not a manager, so he didn't sign any of these people. He wasn't in charge of their careers or anything like that. But so he approached me and
well, if he wasn't doing any of that and they wanted to, you can see why they left.
It was like, listen, I see what you're doing to help the Wilkins. I know the Wilkins because Melanie and Miranda have both danced here. And I want to help. I know Isaiah. And he's like, I have a friend named Jessica. She works for WVE Entertainment, Wilmer Valderrama Entertainment. And she does non-scripted. And I've asked her to look into this. And I was like, okay. And he's like, really, what I'd like to do is have all of us working together so that it's like strength in numbers is kind of how.
So dancer went and got management. No big deal. That's right.
He put it, like, let's just bring everyone together and we'll do this production together. to even bring it to a bigger platform. So that was kind of how it was born. And I met Jessica I had a meeting with Jessica and kind of talked about what
Jessica is the producer. Okay.
Yeah, she's the executive producer. She's so amazing. And I will say that Wilmer's entire team was phenomenal. Wilmer was involved, but he was like more hands off because this is Jessica's non-scripted department. But he was a really big part of, helping families feel comfortable, like his level of compassion and all of that. So what I really loved about this production company more than others, because so many companies approached me, was that their care for the people involved. Remembering that it's a human being and it's their real life, and they were really like they didn't want to.
So and what was it Wilkins worried about at this time? I don't know, short order. This is not making sense.
Sensationalize it. They didn't want to exploit it. They just wanted to help give it a bigger platform. And Wilmer's whole thing is about, his whole production company is about representing minority populations. Obviously, he's from Venezuela and he's a Latino man. And so this story fit with that, right? So there's like Korean immigrants involved in the story.
Hang on. Her team makes it sound like she's the third string boy. So once more, it's a tug of war over this. Yes, that's what I'm getting the impression about. It's like he'd lost these dancers. They decided they wanted management, not just to. It's really weird. Back to our jealousy thing. Oh dear.
Story, and then you've got African American dancers, and so it's an underserved population, and so it helped them because it's what they're passionate about, is elevating these stories. Because in some cases, a story like this might have gotten lost because it's, I'm just glad that Wilmer's team was there, is what I'm trying to say. Is like,
well, I thought some of the interesting things about it is that a lot of these dancers were featured on Ellen when Ellen had her talk show.
Yeah,
because she was so big on dancing.
Yep.
And, she certainly didn't, it's appeared, I'm sure, in my opinion, she wasn't thrilled about this story coming out. And in her defense, these are good dancers. I don't think that she was, taking a cut or going to the church or anything. I just think the dancers came here and then they're like, oh my God, these dances are on Ellen. So it's like, okay.
They're friends. Well, they were friends with Twitch, right? So
hang on.
Twitch was one of a contestant on So You Think You Can Dance. And so was Vic, it's Slavic, and Miranda competed on So You Think You Can Dance as well. So several of these dancers were friends with them because they were part of the like umbrella of So You Think You Can Dance. And then B-Dash and Kevin were on World of Dance. And so if you know anything about the dance community in LA, is that it's like small. Like,
and of course she knows, doesn't she? I don't think so.
Like, there's a lot of dancers, but the community is tight. And so everyone knows everyone. And so Twitch was bringing his friends on basically to dance.
And I did think it was interesting, one part of it, to give Robert Shin as a producer and manager some credit, is he was coming up with these older, more classic songs that the kids had never heard of.
Yep.
And, it reminds me of this other guy I interviewed during COVID, this really cute guy. I can't remember his name, something White. And now I can't remember his name, but he went viral because he was like singing old 1970s songs.
Oh,
and
really?
He was so cute. And he had like kind of wavy hair, and it brought
Was it Vic?
No.
Because that's Slavic.
He was just lip syncing them. But it just kind of went viral because it was nostalgic. And it was also like these great hits. So in the videos that they did,
she has always stated he's not part of it.
Great. They were shot great. They dressed sharp. They were to really great songs. It was charming. It was good, clean fun. No one was twerking. It was like,
Right.
I could see why
It felt
was,
like wholesome, right?
yeah, I
Like,
could see why it was such a big thing. And in the documentary, though, we see that, these kids don't, have a lot of money. So isn't it great that you guys, wait, I have a property that you can all live at. And
right.
at the house, just like there's there are TikTok houses and YouTube houses where a bunch of kids get together and collab and make videos
Right.
and everything. So it was kind of like that. So
Like high quality is what Aubrey
right.
said in the
And
series. So how
right.
would
And
they know that it's not weird, right?
right,
It's like
exactly. And I
there's
think
so many
that's
other people out there doing this. I
and
think
also
that
it's like, hey, we believe in God and we believe in the scripture and this is helping us and it's providing, a discipline and like all that kind of stuff. So I do get it. And then also there's that side of like, well, maybe Miranda, was happy to get away from her sister a little bit. And maybe she wanted to be on her own. And now she's in love with her husband and all of that.
yeah.
And so then, but I could see what I also thought was interesting is,
Oh, she just acknowledged the fact that that could have happened. Okay.
and I wish they kind of would have focused a little more on this, is when you suspect that your child or someone you love might be in whatever organization you want to call it,
Yeah.
where they're not communicating like they used to, and you feel like it's not 100% their choice or they're being influenced not to.
Yeah.
It's like these decult people or whatever that will help
So now Katie's back on what she's been correct.
you to say the right thing.
Yeah.
And I
And
thought that was really interesting. They were like practicing in the car before they saw their loved ones of like what to say so
yeah.
that it's not like, leave me alone, mom, or something. And they're like, hey, we want to hear about your journey. And if there's something that, was hurtful in your childhood that you feel like this is, comforting, we don't want to question that. Like there's a certain words that you use that I thought
Yeah.
was like very interesting.
Yeah. And Kelly's actually, she's a counselor. So she was
Uh-huh.
a school counselor and they worked with deprogramming, like cult experts. They had conversations, I know, with like ex-members of Nexium. And I know that they spoke to different psychologists and professionals, and they contacted like the human trafficking coalition in Los Angeles. Like they literally did absolutely everything.
And yet the Human Trafficking Coalition didn't do anything. Why? Because she's not trafficked.
I think the challenge with this specific case is that those people might be able to help when you can actually communicate with that person. But in this case, they didn't know if they were actually communicating.
Yes, Hello Better with the Irish Wait. She said there were none of those people. Yes, that's correct. Now she's saying
with her because Robert's system is set up that the mentors had access to their phones, their passwords, their social media.
Meaning there's like a person that's like in charge of a small group within the church that they kind of have to check in with. Those you're saying those people allegedly had could control all that stuff.
So
they would see the text and stuff.
So he's got a hierarchy. It's like Robert's at the top and he's the man of God, and he claims that he is getting, divine prophecies from God. He kind of is that Pentecostal, speaking in tongues, full like charismatic, right? And a part of that is believing in prophecy, that you are getting direct messages from God. And so it can open up these doors where the wrong leader believes they are God or acts like they are God. And so with Robert, a lot of it became like, I am the source, right? But
I think she knows who Katie is. I don't think, well, that's what Katie says. She says, I am the source.
Because he elevated himself so high and believed he was so high, he had other people doing his bidding. And so the mentors are the ones that are really in charge of directing and doing the day-to-day for everything. And Robert's like telling them what to do, right? So he's got,
I tell you, I don't know how he fits it all into his day.
a wife, Hannah, who's his fourth wife, by the way. the third that he's married in the cult, and Hannah joined the cult when she was like a late teenager, and she's 20 some years younger than him, 22 years younger than him. And that's a whole thing. But these mentors, Hannah is the manager, and she's also the mentor for Miranda, right? So because Miranda,
Hang on. What did she just say?
they are God, or acts like they are God. And so with Robert, a lot of it became like, I am the source, right? But because he elevated himself so high and believed he was so high, he had other people doing his bidding. And so the mentors are the ones that are really in charge of directing and doing the day-to-day for everything. And Robert's like telling them what to do, right? So he's got a wife, Hannah, who's his fourth wife, by the way, the third that he's married in the cult. And Hannah joined the cult when she was like a late teenager, and she's 20 some years younger than him, 22 years younger than him. And that's a whole thing. But these mentors, Hannah is the manager, and she's also the mentor for Miranda, right? So because Miranda's having this person above her, they don't know if it's Hannah or if it's Miranda. And then the way that Aubrey explained it in the series was that, you know, they had to go to their mentors for everything.
She's buried herself so deep here, and I'm for it, you say. Better with the Irish.
So they couldn't spend money without talking to their mentor. They have to report throughout their day what they're doing to their mentors. And they have to talk about if someone's reaching out to them. And then their mentor might tell them what to say. And the mentor might actually log in and type it for them. And in the case with Miranda and
hey, there've been times where I've had to reply to a message and I've handed it to someone and say, hey, respond to me because I'm done with this.
And the other people, there was a suspicion that we've kind of had confirmed that they weren't really controlling their social media. Even though they could, they also had, the mentors had access to delete things, block people, you know, type in their DMs. So, and then with Robert's teaching the die to yourself, which we haven't really talked about, where a big thing is that he teaches them like, in order to be fully committed to their walk with Jesus, they have to die to whatever they liked in their life. They have to die to their loved ones to save them from hell.
Wow.
And so he's making it seem like their families are going to die.
Right.
If they don't cut off their families. So that
So Cook says management works like this. It's sufficient. It's like having a mod on board.
just adds a whole other layer of like, well, if I reach out to my family, are they going to die?
So a lot of the people that everyone participating is no longer part of the church.
Yeah.
And Miranda does, come to visit.
Yeah.
And does talk to them. And we see that she did go to her sister's wedding, which happened after the doc had wrapped. And so she just spoke today on her Instagram.
Yeah.
And she basically is talking to the camera, and she looks great. She looks fine. And she says, since the documentary has aired, my husband and I, prior to that, felt safe in our life.
Yep.
Now we are getting all these.
That's another point she'll order. Not all the dancers were Christians or in the church. That's the whole point. This is this is what we've been trying to point out, that they've lumped everybody. There's a difference between the management and the church. And from what I'm hearing from the management, it's run like a management.
Death threats and messages and emails saying if we're walking on the street, they're going to pick us up and kidnap us. We should kill ourselves. We should die.
Hey, isn't that what she's just said her threats were?
All this stuff.
Yeah.
Which I can imagine if you receive it is really horrific. But one of the things I want to say about this, because we hear about it so much when someone, whether they're on a reality show and they have a bad edit, or they are part of this documentary about
Mhm.
if in fact they might be a part of a cult and,
Yeah.
and unwillingly or not aware of it,
Yeah.
is because of what then comes into my social media internet. Therefore, whatever it is, the opposition should be blamed for it. Like,
Right.
as if, first of all, who is mad at Miranda in this world for dancing and being with her husband?
Right.
If she is in fact part of an organization that later on she realizes wasn't what she thought it was, nobody is mad at her for that.
No.
So I believe, in my opinion, and nobody ever, why don't people wonder, maybe these messages are coming to her, but maybe they're coming from inside the house.
They
Like,
could be.
they're coming from, so that you will go, oh my God, my family put out this documentary and now my life is worse because they
Yeah.
spoke. My life is worse.
It's
And it's like there's no way to prove
And Katie can't get a word in, and she's not very happy, is she? Look at her. Look at her demeanor's changing.
who these anonymous troll bot people are. There is no, I've been through it myself.
and Robert is known to use fake accounts and bots and all of that. And I actually saw this happening yesterday. They tried to scare her mom by claiming I was going to get Miranda killed. And I'm like, it's just like they're trying to, Robert, in whatever way he can, make it so that that
What's her next move? She's out of SWATs.
he is the safety, right?
And
But
I
I
just want to
want,
say, I am not
I
saying
want to say point blank, like if anyone is sending those messages and it's not connected to the cult, don't. It's
no, I'm saying, and I'm also saying there's just no way to prove who these people really are.
right. Yeah.
Within this world of AI, fake accounts, bots, trolls,
Yeah.
people can buy those, they can disguise them, they can make it look like they're juicy scoopers coming after this girl.
Right.
They can make
Yeah.
it look like that. Like and I feel badly that anyone receives even one mean comment, DM, or message. It should never just be like, "Oh, get over it, girl," because when you read it, it's really
Horrifying.
upsetting.
I've gone,
It's
I mean,
totally upsetting. So it's like,
yeah.
but I just think it's, yeah, but when you first get it, if you've never really gotten that before, you do think, oh my
I plan to create.
God, it's coming from that camp. And I
And
don't want to
it's,
fuck with that camp anymore, no matter
yeah.
what, even if
Yeah.
it's
And
my
so it helps
family. And
strengthen her resolve that she needs to go deeper in with Robert.
that,
It's,
this got
yeah.
exposed, and because it doesn't make any sense why anybody watching this doc would be
Right.
compelled to get on their phone and write something mean to
No, she can't get a word in to say meaning.
any one of
Of the
the
victims.
people
Yeah.
that are involved, dancing and believing in this man, whatever.
Well, here's the thing is I don't think Miranda
is.
is we don't believe Miranda has seen the series. So she doesn't really, in our opinion, like at least in my opinion and who I've talked to, we don't think she's watched it. Because if she watched it, she would know that nothing was really said badly about
There
her.
was not one thing said. I mean, the only thing that you could be
Everyone
offended
talks
by,
so lovingly about her. Like,
I mean, the only thing that you could be offended by if you were her is, I'm a big girl. I know what I'm doing. How dare you
yeah,
think that I'm dumb enough to be succumb to something that is not truthful? I
right.
believe in this church. I believe in this man, and how dare
Yeah.
you question me as an adult? That's
Yeah.
about it. But it's coming out of a loving thing. But I assume that's why anybody in any religious organization gets pissed and offended when people question it.
Well,
You
Robert
know?
has made them so paranoid of the outside world too. Like he tells them they're all demonic or, it's a spiritual attack, right? So he does use fake accounts. I mean, I would
Don't talk over the host. Well, that's right.
tell Miranda on the flip side, I have received those same kinds of messages for 2 years covering this story. You know, I get threats constantly. I'm being sued. Like, this is not, first of all, like, if you've seen my coverage, you will see, and even the productions coverage over and over and over again, we have said, do not leave nasty comments. Please be kind to these people. Don't even comment. Like, you have no reason to comment.
Yeah,
really.
you don't
Like,
need to comment. Nobody needs to go and
you don't need to tell her she's in a cult. You don't need to say anything, really.
right.
Just leave her alone. Like, and remember that they're victims and they don't know it. So it's like, you don't know you're in a cult until you know
You
you're in
know,
a
and
cult.
also the shame of it is
I've talked about that.
Yeah, well, also another shame of it is without all of this being exposed through the documentary,
Yeah.
someone may have come across her page, her dancing,
Yeah.
and been like, "Oh my God, we want her to be on Dancing with the Stars as a, with the star, or we want her to be part of this." Well, now I'm telling you, if that was my job, if I was a producer of one of these dancing shows, as cute and as fabulous as she is, now that I know that this is her manager and this is this other stuff that's happening, I'm going to be less likely to want to hire her because of the people that are attached and all of that. And that's the real shame. That's the shame of this getting out, is that, well, without it being known, you might have gotten this opportunity. You would have had to give 50% of your money away before taxes.
Yeah.
But now the opportunity is not going to come at all because it's just too sticky and icky.
And they were doing a good job, if you saw in the series, of like, he's like, we're going to cut people off and they're not even going to know it, and that was a whole thing so that they could hide what was happening, right? Like, he signs them all into NDAs. So really, is she going to be able to be truthful? Because if she has an NDA and she can't disparage him, she's not going to blame him for any of this. And she still believes that he's her man of God. And so, of course, it's the outsiders that are creating this.
Did she put hair extension in her hair? And is that for this interview?
So of course, it's her family that is to blame. But I think I can say this for certain, that her family did not come into this with ill motives. They did not come into this to hurt her, to hurt James. They came in to help get people out. And that live that they did,
an NDA doesn't make you lie. That's not what people are saying that are speaking out about the Wilkins, by the way.
Woke up 6 dancers. That live woke up former members that had been in his cult for 20 plus years. Priscilla left.
Priscilla was never part of the dance group. It didn't start. We're talking about 7M hasn't been around for 20 years. KJ.
Things so that they could hide what was happening, right? Like, he signs them all into NDAs. So really, is she going to be able to be truthful? Because if she has an NDA and she can't disparage him, she's not going to blame him for any of this. And she still believes that he's her man of God. And so, of course, it's the outsiders that are creating this. Of course, it's her family that is to blame. But I think I can say this for certain, that her family did not come into this with ill motives. They did not come into this to hurt her, to hurt James. They came in to help get people out. And that live that they did woke up 6 dancers.
Hang on a minute. That live that they did woke up 6 dancers who left the cult, who, by the way, can't watch social media because everything's controlled for them. How did they see it if they don't?
So really, is she going to be able to be truthful? Because if she has an NDA and she can't disparage him, she's not going to blame him for any of this.
Correct.
And she still believes that he's her man of God. And so, Of course, it's the outsiders that are creating this. Of course, it's her family that is to blame. But I think I can say this for certain, that her family did not come into this with ill motives. They did not come into this to hurt her, to hurt James. They came in to help get people out. And that live that they did woke up 6 dancers. That live woke up former members that had been in his cult for 20 plus years. Priscilla left as a result of everything that happened after they went live and all of that coverage, you know?
That contradicts everything that has been set up until this point.
And mentors start finding out again that Robert, all these years later, is still having inappropriate relationships with women in his church while he's married, you know, and that creates a whole conflict, and his daughter takes off with her husband.
So outsiders who didn't know what they were doing when they thought that shaming the poor girl internationally would get her to come to her senses. Yes.
Husband, you know? So families that were in this cult for 20 plus years are exiting as well, because they're like, this isn't what I signed up for. You know, you lied to me about this. You know, you've deceived me. And we were shocked when Miranda and James didn't leave, and when Tight Eyes and Kendra and Vic and Nick didn't leave. It was shocking.
So those people that are in the dock are still active
Yeah.
in the company and
Yeah.
the church.
Yeah.
Well, you know, again, this is all, you know, alleged, and then what we see and what has been told and from the
Yeah.
other members. And she is saying she's very happy. She did go to the sister's wedding, and, you know, and there was some of that in the doc of like, we'll go call your family, go see your family, because
Yep.
this is out. We don't want it to look like you can't be hanging out with your family at all.
Yeah. And I think now, because they can't do that, right? Like, he's been exposed. Like, that was a whole thing he was doing. So now what is he going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's alleged. That's right. Finally.
He's going to try to blame the documentary for causing harm to her.
Right.
And really, anything that she posts right now is coming from him. So, and her mentors are telling her what to post. So do we even know that these are really happening? Do we know?
I wonder if all of a sudden, what if someone just reached out to send an ad and they're a really good dancer, and they're like, hi, I'd like you to manage me, but I don't want to join your church. If you're truly a manager, then why not just like be thrilled that, oh, you have such great people under your management company, manage me. Like,
yeah.
then, you know, you should be happy that you've been
They don't have to be part of the church.
given all this attention.
But they
You should
can't
be
have
happy
the
that these
control.
great dancers are now being featured on an international platform.
Yeah.
So
Well, have you looked at the views on her Instagram are like through the roof right now? Like,
yeah. So, I mean, why isn't there anything positive? Like, I would think a different
She can't answer that because she knows it's
attitude to take, if I was he, is to say, look, whatever, these things are not true. What is true is that I have these really talented dancers that, you know, that are available to work and for things, and let's make a deal and whatever. And then also on Sundays, they, you know, come to my church and pray or whatever it is. Like, I'm just saying there's a way. It's just interesting, the reaction that's come from it, you know.
and he could stop all of this, right? Like, he could be the man of God and the manager and come out and speak and say something, but he's really putting these people out like sacrificial lambs, and like he's letting the bus roll over them. He's making them do his dirty work and fight his battles. And he's telling them probably that it's a spiritual attack against him and they need to pray harder and be more obedient to him. It's sad.
Well, what's going to happen is, like anything, in a week or two, there'll be another hot duck or thing people will be talking about. And, and then these families will not have everyone chatting about it, getting the attention. And all they're
That's a good point. Hello, Ginger.
going to be able to do is just hope and pray that they're able to keep the relationship with their daughter in an authentic way. And like, who knows if that'll happen. And then at a certain point, I feel like the family's got to get on with their life. I mean, I also think about the other sister, like how many years.
That's right. KJ's the only one who wants Robert Shin to talk horse shoes.
And is our whole family just going to be like, the other sister's married? She's going to want to have a kid. Like at a certain point, you're just going to be like, okay, all right, we'll see you twice a year and we won't talk about your church. But it'll feel fake. But what are we supposed to do? Like, I just think after a certain point, what is a family supposed to do? And that's where, I find it really intriguing.
And that's kind of the conversation that was had in this documentary is what is it like to lose someone and they're an adult and it looks like human trafficking, but
what? She's had to put it in there.
When adults are involved in human trafficking.
Did you know she stopped calling Robert Roberto in today's video? Someone pulled her up on that recently. Yes.
The adult has to recognize they're a victim.
Right. I mean, and this type of thing does happen. Kids go off to college and they get involved in organizations that are very, very different than the mindset of the parents. And the parents are like, I don't want my son. Yeah. But I remember my mom had a friend whose daughter was in the Moonies, which was like this old school.
Oh yeah, that was a
cult. And how terrible it was. It was just like, oh my God, you raise your child your whole life. And it's just like, what are we supposed to do? And then if you're too stronghold, and then what are you supposed to do? Kidnap them? Like when they're adults? How?
I think right now the concern is that there's illegal activities happening here that are happening very publicly. There's obvious signs of labor trafficking and multiple women have come forward related to reports of sexual assault and sexual abuse. In our research, there's been at least 10 women that have accused him of this.
Hang on, it was 6 earlier. Now we've got 10.
And so it's not just a situation of my daughter joined a group and it's high control. This is beyond high control. I mean, they're controlling everything in their lives down to what they can post and not post. And then for him to try to say that the documentary is making her unsafe when the reality is when Priscilla tried to leave.
Who's Priscilla again?
She was the one that came out of the cult. That was Melanie's sister.
Oh, yes.
When she
came out of the church, she was never part of 7M. She was never part of 7M.
She tried to leave. She said she was beaten by Hannah for an hour. And, she says that Robert raped her for years and she wasn't allowed to get married and she wasn't allowed to have kids because Robert will not let them have children.
And yet, she just said before, she said in her other video before or something about targeting children.
So it's
she has filed a lawsuit against him, right?
Yes.
So this is everything you're saying is part of her lawsuit.
Correct. And it's it's an allegation in a lawsuit, which he denies, right? So he says that the relationship was consensual and that no inappropriateness was happening.
Didn't their lawsuit with Lydia, didn't she lose that? Like, why is she talking about the fact that it's still in court?
Outside the fact that he was her employer and pastor.
Right.
And had her living in housing. Now the court, he tried to get it thrown out when she said that she was being human trafficked. And he said that she hadn't pled that complaint well. And the court basically said, no, she did. You were controlling her housing, her wallet, her keys, access to cars. I mean, Priscilla really was a prisoner in that White House in many respects. And for her to get out, she was beaten. So like, that's the concern about the law.
Oh, Priscilla's got a new lawsuit, has she? So there's a new lawsuit. Oh, is that the one where she as extortion?
Longer Miranda stays, that could be her.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, it was, well, I commend you for, using your platform to get this story out. I really do feel like you were the one that got the ball rolling.
Heather's not letting her go there any further, isn't she? She's put the brakes on it.
And hopefully, whatever happens, they continue to be happy and prosperous and don't fall to anything that's, worse than what we've seen. And we'll see what comes about,
That's Priscilla's lawsuit. That's right. Lydia had a lawsuit that failed. Lydia's lawsuit failed.
And hopefully everything with you in speaking your truth will, come out on the right
Speaking her truth, there's the truth
side.
yeah, I'm hopeful. Like, this docu-series really helped everything that's been happening to me. And so I would just hope that the conversation keeps happening, that people start questioning like how many women have to come forward before police do anything about someone.
Yeah, that was really interesting too and sad. We need a couple more women. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
So you apparently have to be a serial person doing that in
Right.
LA, right?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
basically, it's like the Puff Daddy thing.
Yeah, or
P.
Danny
Diddy
Masterson.
didn't happen until, it's like
Yeah.
women in numbers is.
Huh.
Well, anyway, I'm gonna let you go, but tell everybody where they can follow and get more of your content.
So I am on Instagram. It's at Without a Crystal Ball. I'm also on TikTok at Without a Crystal Ball. And then I have my YouTube channel, which is Without a Crystal Ball. And then on Facebook, I'm Without a Crystal Ball, Katie Joy. So yeah, I do content on all the platforms.
As Punch Create says, you need evidence. You need evidence.
All the things.
And I do love that name. That is very clever.
Oh yeah, well, it fits with the whole cult thing, right?
Yeah, well, it's like I always am like prediction. I do predictions, but so I should be like prediction, but not without a crystal ball. I don't have a crystal ball, but it's very, it's clever. Well, anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you, Heather. It was wonderful talking with you.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
All right, you guys.
There you go. I don't know. But on that note, I've got another early start in the morning. We're not even going to get to the Instagram. Your producer's buddies. Well, she denied that. Don't forget, Ginger. She said, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. We didn't even get to the Instagram live. So, and I'm yawning, so I need to go to Betty Buys because I'm tired. And as we pointed out, so it's interesting because now that's actually another additional story that I've heard regarding how it all started. So anyway, all right. Well, based on that, I'm going to go. Thank you for watching. I might put that in to say that we looked at this juicy scoop. But yeah, it was okay. I thought Heather was trying to direct her into trying to see it from a different perspective, but Katie wasn't having any of it, was she? In a lot of ways. All right. Well, I will catch you all later. We got the juicy scoop tonight. We did. Thank you, Peter, for telling me about it. That was probably better than the Instagram. If I get a chance, I'll come back later in the week and we'll look at the Instagram, but I'm sure there'll be more and more and more. She has to be reined in at some point in time. But anyway, I hope you have a good day, night, evening, whatever it is where you are. And I'll catch you again next time. Bye for now.